Welcome inside the RxMuscle studios in New York for another episode of Ask Dave, better known as #AskDave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. Glad you can join us on this Wednesday, the 20th day of July 2016. 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, prep, supplements, IFBB pros, and competitions. We are 56 days away from Olympia 2016. As we bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, after this show, we are going to have an episode of Iron Rage with you and John Romano, but tomorrow afternoon, the return of Iron Debate, this time with Jerry Ward.
Yeah, I'm excited. First of all, I'm excited to do Iron Rage. It's probably one of the most popular shows here on RxMuscle.com. And, of course, I love to do stuff with John Romano. And today we're going to be talking about insane growth hormone dosages. So if you want to know anything about GH, I'm going to give you the whole history of GH, where it came from and how it was first brought to the marketplace. And then I'm going to talk about some of the insane things that people are doing with it. But that's exciting. But tomorrow, yeah, a lot of people give me flack that we haven't had Iron Debate on, and you know what it was? We had a little lull in the contest season for a bit. Now that the Olympia is building up, I think there's a lot more controversial topics. So tomorrow we're going to get Jerry Ward, who's got a very popular YouTube channel, and we're going to give him an opportunity to voice his opinions with John Romano, Chris Aceto, and myself. If my hair looks a little disheveled today, it's because my son Logan likes to grab my hair and pull it, and he pulls the hair gel that I use. I use a hair gel. It's like cement, basically. But when you break the cement, like, your hair just looks like you're a wreck. So if I'm a wreck, sorry, but the questions and answers will still be top-notch.
We mentioned Iron Debate coming back tomorrow. Iron Rage after this show at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard. Available now on our YouTube channel and, of course, on RxMuscle.com. Yesterday's episode of Live With. Now, generally, our producer Johnny Styles kind of got on us about this. This show, Live With, what began as a platform which we wanted to feature up-and-coming IFBB pros and PC competitors, quickly became a showcase for the A-listers and top newsmakers in the bodybuilding world. Well, yesterday, we had somebody that sort of became an overnight sensation or gained some infamous notoriety in the form of Kenny O'Neill, and I call him a.k.a. the Synthol guy. If you check our Instagram page, and it's a picture, Dave, that's been circulating around the bodybuilding circles. You saw his, I guess, misshaped shoulders, and he became sort of a sensation overnight, and people wanted the real story, as Johnny puts up the picture of Kenny O'Neill. And many people just, again, aptly call him the Synthol guy. Well, yesterday, Dave, he came on the show because he wanted to set the record straight and share his end of the story, because obviously he's received quite a bit of flack from the bodybuilding internet.
Yeah, well, after we talked about it, John and I, on the Iron Rage show 2 weeks ago, he contacted me because I kind of felt bad for the guy. I said it on the show. I said, "Yeah, I feel bad. The guy, he just wants to be the best bodybuilder he can be." And he had a mishap. His biggest mistake was going on stage looking like that. And he said, "Look, I'll come on. I'll talk about it. I'll be honest. I'll tell you exactly what happened." And so I said, "All right, who am I to turn away a news story, right? Especially one like that." So we had him on, and it was a good sport. Look, it is what it is. He did what he did. He knows he screwed up, and he's not going to do it again, obviously. And he'll be back in a couple of years. He's going to compete again. He's a musician and he's a DJ, so he's got other stuff going on as well. But I thought it was a good interview. So if you guys you want to be entertained, check it out.
All this content available on RxMuscle.com, the Muscle Central Forum. If you haven't already registered, please do so. And, of course, on our YouTube channel. As we now go to our questions, we go to Adrian_Lessie. Dave, in lieu of all this water-soluble injection site issues, would you simply say to run Tren and or Mastrone instead of Winnie or other water-based injectables? If you have no issues in the past running them pre-comp, should we still make the switch?
The problem is, we all injected water-based anabolic steroids back in the day. I used test suspension and I used Winstrol. I don't know I think the guys are just using so much today because everyone thinks more is better. Back in the day, we did 1 cc of Winstrol every other day, and we didn't have a problem. Nowadays, guys are doing 2-3 cc's every single day. You have no place to put it, and it gets all swollen up. So I think it goes back to less is better. I don't think you have to eliminate it. I think you have to just use it in moderation, and I think that that's the way it goes. I mean, this is one of the topics we're going to address on Iron Rage a little later after this show's over with John Romano. The insane dosages guys are using today. I just don't get it. I don't know what got into people's heads. The guys today are no better than they were 15, 20 years ago. So obviously the elevated dosages are not doing anything but causing side effects, infections, and mishaps. And that's something you really don't want to have when you're getting ready for a show. Kenny O'Neill said he trained 6 months almost every day. I don't think he took one day off in preparation for this show, and he screwed it up because he overdid things. I mean that's the bottom line.
J Ray 142 SP, I hate this show more than Jimmy the Bull hates sniffing bullfrog butts. I actually think he liked it. My question is, my friend just came off a cycle and is wanting to run test only for basically the rest of his life. He wants to run test E 250 mg instead of cycling on and off. I told him it doesn't sound like a great idea. What do you think?
Well, that's kind of a replacement dose, 100 to 200 milligrams per week. If you want to stay on a replacement dose for the rest of your life, I don't see any negative health ramifications from that. You'll grow to a certain point, and then you probably will plateau. So, like I said, from a hormone replacement standpoint, it's not a bad idea. Obviously, if you're going to do super high cycles and then just drop down to hormone replacement and you're really not an older guy, over 40, I probably wouldn't recommend that. I like my guys to clean out completely. There's no reason to kind of, as people say, bridge the gap, all right? If you get off of everything, it clears your receptors much better. It allows your body to detox much better, too.
Nick_Olganizov. Hey, Dave, is taking creatine monohydrate safe for 15-year-olds?
I think it's probably safe, but I don't know if I necessarily think I would recommend it. I don't think the kids, that young need to take like creatine and necessarily huge amounts of protein into their diet. I think that a well-balanced diet, I think a good multivitamin, a good essential fatty acid would be something that I would give my son. I don't know if I would be pumping him full of amino acid drinks all day long. I think it just kind of throws the balance of protein off. Same thing with creatine, just pumping extra creatine in his body. I don't think he needs it. I really don't. So I would probably wait till he's maybe 17, 18.
Let's go to frameworks. Would you suggest a seasoned bodybuilder to cycle completely off after a 10 to 16 week run at moderate amounts of AAS, or would it be okay to drop to TRT levels while between cycles?
I've said it a million times. When you go off a cycle, go completely off, because that's what you're trying to reset your receptors. To be honest with you, if your testosterone goes really, really low, 200, 100, okay, a total testosterone blood test, a lot of people think that's a bad thing. It's actually not. If it's a short period of time, what that does is it tells you your receptors for these androgens upregulate. There's nothing around. The body doesn't know there's not enough testosterone. It thinks there's not enough androgen receptor. So actually being very low sometimes is even better for regenerating these androgen receptors long term than it is damaging in the short run. Because you're only going off for 6, 8, 10 weeks. You're not going to lose anything in that time. You'll lose a little water weight. Once you go back on, however, your receptors will be that much more receptive because of the low levels. If you stay on a hormone replacement level, you're not going to regenerate those receptors as quickly, and it might take months and months and months before they come back. So I like to go off everything.
Let's go to D0_NNY melatonin 2. What do you think of melatonin? Sorry?
Melanotin, right?
Melatonin 2. Is it safe? How do you use it? Side effects, thanks in advance.
Long-term safeness, have no idea. Hasn't been around that long. I don't know anyone who's had any problems. Probably the worst side effects from it is a little nausea if you take too much of it, which a lot of people do because people take too much of everything. And, some people have reported that their blood pressure has gone up a little bit. So what I recommend you do is if you get these like 5 milligram vials, put like 2 cc's of water in it. Take like 5 units on an insulin syringe or less right before bed. Take it every day until you get the tan you want, and then take it once or twice a week after that. If you don't do it before bed, okay, you're going to feel nauseous the whole day, I promise you. If you take more than 5 units, you will feel nauseous during the day. And it's not a good feeling. It's like a fluey, like nauseousness. Now, if you take the dosage I'm telling you, under 5 units or under, you'll get a little heat flash. Your whole head will heat up a little bit. You get a little queasy for maybe 5-10 minutes, and then it'll go away. If you're laying in bed, you'll just fall asleep. That's my recommendation on how to take it. Like I said, less is better with that. Even if you have to take it for a longer period of time, even if you got to take it 2-3 weeks in a row, once you get the color you want, though, in your skin, back off it. Because if you continue to take it at that dose, you're going to turn purple. I've seen, and Mike Z is probably watching the show. I saw him at the Olympia. I think it was last year. He was purple. I said, what the hell happened to you? He was doing melanotan. You can't do too much of it.
Let's go to Josu_PNB. Do you think starting steroids younger will give you an edge once you get to the pro level?
I think it's a disadvantage, actually, to be honest, when you start them younger, because you're better off growing naturally as much as you can. It's a well-known fact that anabolic steroids work best on well-trained muscle. In other words, if you have immature muscle and you take them, yeah, you'll grow, but you'll never grow as well as if you have mature muscle there already and then you put the steroids on top of that. I trained naturally for like 4 or 5 years, until I was like 22. When I took anabolic steroids, my body exploded on very low dose stuff. Look at Kai Green, Ronnie Coleman fit in that category, Jose Raymond. So, the longer you can hold off doing anabolic steroids, the better you'll get response-wise. Now, people might say, what about Cody Montgomery and this one and that one and Dallas? Some guys, will take them young and get great results and continue to get good results. But my experience with most guys is that they respond better when they're a little older and when they have a little bit more mature muscle.
Let's go to wide back. Zach, I hate this show more than Ronnie Coleman loves lifting. Lightweight baby. Dave, I know you're all about heavyweight builds muscle, and I've been trying more Dorian Yates style training methods recently. Would you say a 6 to 8 rep range with 60 seconds between sets is ideal for hypertrophy if my heart rate has come down and I feel properly recovered? Or would you prefer to rest 90 to 120 seconds to ensure you're able to lift maximum weight?
Yeah, I was always into resting more. Some sets, like the warm-up sets, I didn't rest as much. Then when I got to the heavy sets, when I would go 5 plates on each side of the squat rack, 485, and then go up the next set, to 5, 6 plates, I'd have to rest between sets because it was not only was it traumatizing to the muscles, and it's your whole nervous system is traumatized. I would wrap, I would put my belt on, I would take my time, I would drink a little whatever I was drinking at the time, Gatorade in between there, just to you have to calm your nerves almost because it takes a lot of mental focus to get under heavy weight. Same thing on the bench press. You're benching 315 and then you're going to go up to 405 and then you might go 465. You got to rest in between sets. You're not going to recover. You're going to hurt yourself. So that's why I always like doing less sets in the gym because it put less pressure on me. Because I didn't want to be in the gym for 3 hours. I knew that was not going to help me grow. So if I go to the gym and do 10 or 12 good sets, I can take my time. I'll be in and out in under 90 minutes, but yet I'll get enough rest to get my maximum weight sets in.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. If you're watching us live on our YouTube channel, and if this is the first time you're watching something RX Muscle related, hit the subscribe button below. You're never going to miss any of our shows, segments, or updates. And of course, with the build up to the 2016 Olympia coming. Dave, do you want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say that, I noticed that we were very, very close to 50,000 subscribers. And so anyone out there who is watching this show, and I know a lot of you guys out there love the Ask Dave show because I get the emails and texts and Instagram messages from you guys. And we love doing the show. I love educating people. I don't mind answering questions every week. I know it's something that you guys look forward to. Subscribe. I want 50,000 subscribers, and once we get that, I'm going to want 100 because I want to get that little stupid freaking plaque that YouTube sends you saying, what is it, like a silver button or something like that you hit 100,000 subscribers. But we got to get to 50 first, and we're very close. I know everyone out there who's watching this, if you're not subscribed, click subscribe. I guarantee it. By tomorrow, we'll probably have 50,000 subscribers, and I'm going to have a party, and I might even give away an impressive gift to someone. I have to think about that.
But what's cool about it for the users, for fans of bodybuilding in general who value the shows and the information that you can get from RxMuscle.com, you're not going to miss anything because you're going to get push notifications to your mobile device. RX Muscle is live, so it's a good way to keep in touch. And of course, with the build up to the Olympia, and then of course the coverage of the 2016 Olympia, that is where you're going to want to be. Let's continue with the questions. Let's go to Brown J85. I have a really bad back, so I'm unable to do squats, deadlifts, etc. Is it possible to build mass within your legs with machines?
Look, anything is possible. If you're lifting heavy weights, if you're overloading the muscles, they're going to grow. Will they grow as well as doing free weight squats? I don't think they will. But you know what? If you have a lot of muscle there already, you can probably maintain it and stimulate a little more. Dorian Yates never did free weight squats, the last half of his career, maybe even before that, because I don't know if he had a back problem, he had something wrong that bothered him. He would do Smith machine squats and leg press. And look at his legs were enormous. So it's possible. It's harder to build legs without squatting, but it is possible. I always say, where there's a will, there's a way. Find a way to overload those muscles and make sure you feel it. Don't just lift heavy weights for the sake of heavy weights.
Let's go to Tony_MW17. Dave, are you ready for this? So I'm just going to ask you, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
I'm not sure if you are, but I'm going to propose this anyway. Romano, Jimmy the Bull, Dennis James, Boston Lloyd, all on Iron Debate for the ultimate broadcast. Any possibility of this happening, I think everyone would tune into this for sure. I think the one name you missed in there is Badr Budai, if you're going to throw in Dennis James, right?
Dennis is not talking to us. Who else? Jimmy the Bull. He might show up,
Boston
but he might
Lloyd.
not. Boston Lloyd will show up.
John Romano, of course.
Romano, of course, would show up, and there was another person.
That was it.
Oh.
I threw in Badr Budai.
Oh. Look, I'm sure we can make it happen. I need the right topics, though. You have to. The thing with Iron Debate is you have to match up the right people with the right topics, or it's not interesting. But Dennis is not talking to me, because he's mad that I put Beta Badai on the show. But you never know. We'll probably make up at the Olympia or something like that.
Well, just so you know, tomorrow's episode of Iron Debate, which is going to feature Jerry Ward, we're going to be talking Lee Priest. We're going to be talking Kevin Levrone. And we're going to be talking about Big Romi. So some juicy topics, of course, as we build towards the Olympia. These are the type of topics and type of answers you're going to want on Iron Debate tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard, right here on RxMuscle.com. Let's go to R. Jucket 8. Dave, I hate this show more than you and Chris hate when bodybuilders use 3 grams of test per week. Question: why is it exactly that a lot of pro bodybuilders get sick right before showtime? Is it improper diuretic use? Typically, I hear so many guys claim they got food poisoning. Doesn't sound possible.
Probably 50% of the people who say they're sick probably are really just screwed up somehow, and they're using it as an excuse. But I've seen people, they do get sick, and I don't know if it's they stress themselves out mentally, or they create. Sometimes your mind is a very powerful tool. My dad is a big advocate of that. He believes that when he was in the Army, he told me a story that he used to mouth off to all the. My dad had graduated from Columbia Teachers College with a master's degree, and they drafted him in the Army. He was so pissed that he was always mouthing off and being a wise ass. And at some point, and he was always getting punished for it. At some point, he lost his ability to speak. Nothing would come out, and he had to go to the Army base doctors there, and no one can figure it out. And it was basically his mind's way of shutting off his voice, so he would shut the hell up and stop getting in trouble. So the mind is a powerful tool. I think a lot of people get so nervous that they make themselves sick, to be honest with you. Then there's some people that have coaches that over-diuretic them and get them sick. So it's probably a combination of a whole bunch of different things that go on. Not to mention a lot of guys don't sleep. They're on an airplane. They get exposed to things, or they eat food they didn't cook, or maybe they put it in their cooler and they didn't keep it cool enough. So you got to be very careful that last week before a show, because your body is vulnerable. It's in a state of complete depletion. There's no body fat on you. Your immune system is taxed, and it's easy to catch some kind of a little virus. I remember Guy Cisternino when I helped him turn pro. He made it through the show, and then he went back to his room, and people called me. They're like, "You got to get down there." He was violently throwing up. Now, luckily, he had made it off the stage already and got the win. But it happens,
Let's go to Joel Tejeda. Dave, does vitamin E, fish oil, cream for pregnants help with minor loose skin on the midsection?
People ask me this over and over. Loose skin is a tough thing, because it usually means that the elastic or the collagen of the skin has been overstretched. and it's like overstretching a rubber band. You can never kind of make it really go back to the way it was when you first got it, unfortunately, without having some kind of surgery to tighten that up. Now, if the skin looseness is not that bad, a lot of times you can compensate by putting extra muscle on your body, which will stretch it out. I haven't seen any. I know people bathe in these different creams. They use, what's the one for the hemorrhoids they use? Preparation H. They put saran wrap around themselves. To be honest with you, I haven't seen too many things work. Back in the day, we used to wrap ourselves in, or used to rub on that thiomucase cream from France, and who knows if it worked. I think it worked, but I don't know if it actually. I was probably 0% body fat. Did I really need it? I don't think so. Most of these creams just dehydrate the skin. So to answer your question, it's probably not going to do anything. The vitamin E, or the coconut oil might actually help prevent stretch marks, but it's probably not going to fix loose skin.
Let's go to Unknown Art. Dave, what is your view on raw animal foods for bodybuilding, like raw eggs, raw meat, and unpasteurized dairy?
A lot of people say that it's better for you because the enzymes are in there that help digest it and break it down. True story. Someone was telling me, and I'm severely lactose intolerant, and I'm not going to say who told me this. Someone told me, look, you got to drink raw, unpasteurized milk. You got to contact a farm and you get the raw milk, and it has the lactase enzymes in there already, and it won't bother your stomach. So, I'm always up to try something new. I contacted someone around my house. I was looking on the internet. I found a place that actually delivered raw milk to your house, like the old milkman. I'm like, all right, this is great. It was pretty reasonably priced, so I ordered like 2 gallons of the stuff because I think the guy came every 2 weeks or something like that. I get the stuff in my house. I bring it in. I can't wait to try it. I'm like, man, I love milk. I can finally drink whole milk. This is great. Open it up, and it had a funky smell because it was unpasteurized. And I'm like, all right, well, it's raw milk. That's probably what the way it smells. It comes off the cow. It smells like a cow, basically. I pour the milk. I drink it. I'm like, it tastes all right. It wasn't great. It's very creamy, whole milk. I haven't drank it in such a long time. By later that day, I was pooping my brains out. I couldn't control it, and that was the end of the milk experiment. So, raw anything might be better for you depending on what the food is. I don't know if I would be eating raw chicken. I know Tom Platz's wife, what's her name? I forgot her name, Shah. She prepares raw foods for Tom and her, and they mix them in marinades to prevent any kind of bacteria. But you got to know what you're doing. You got to really know what you're doing. I wouldn't switch to a raw food diet if I were you. I think cooking the food is not going to hurt you and your bodybuilding gains.
Let's go to Oro Solido. Hey, Dave, I hate the show more than Kenny O'Neill hates being asked if he has shoulder implants. Does T3 have any effect on muscle?
Yeah, T3 or triiodothyronine is the active thyroid hormone in our body, which is responsible for metabolism. That means burning fat, burning carbohydrates, metabolizing protein, and metabolizing means breaking it down and building it up. So I did an experiment one year. I worked in a research lab one year at my college. I think it was between my junior and senior year. And the experiment was how thyroid hormone affects development of chickens. Okay, and we hatched these little chicks out, and the guy I was working for at the time, he removed the thyroid glands of all these chickens, and we gave them different doses of thyroid hormone. The regular physiological dose, half the dose, a quarter of the dose. And guess what? The chickens with the full dose grew to normal chickens. The other ones had way, way less muscle in their body. Okay, so thyroid hormone is essential for muscle metabolism, for building muscle mass. Too much, however, can break down muscle tissue. So it's important that you don't do excessive amounts. Now, the proviso on that is that if you're using thyroid hormone to help burn extra fat in contest prep, you want to take something that will spare muscle tissue. So thyroid hormone will increase metabolism of carbs, fat, and protein. But if you're taking something that will spare muscle protein, then it'll only increase the metabolism of the carbs and fat. And the best thing to use is either combine it with GH, growth hormone, or combine it with, a lot of people do clenbuterol. So clenbuterol and GH will spare the muscle metabolizing effects of thyroid hormone. That's why a lot of people stack T3, which is basically Cytomel, with clenbuterol in their fat-burning stacks.
Let's go to E. Panarese. Dave, what is the best approach to overcome metabolic adaptation For someone trying to put on muscle after undereating, puts in 1,200 calories a day for several years. Person is male, 26 years old.
No. A cheat meal is probably the best thing to do to shock your body every once in a while. If you have trouble gaining weight and your body plateaus a lot, throw cheat meals in there. Go to McDonald's. Go to all-you-can-eat sushi. Go to an Italian meal. Don't eat clean all the time. If you eat the same thing all the time, sometimes your body will adapt to that and you'll stop responding. So I found, at least in my career, that I needed to throw junky food in there every once in a while to screw with my metabolism a little bit and shock my body into growth, and it worked.
Let's go to Guys or Geese RS6. Dave, I'm on ketogenic diet for 4 weeks. I feel mentally and physically strong, but in some moments of the day, I feel light, dizziness, especially when I stand up suddenly. What am I doing wrong?
Standing up and getting lightheaded is what we call orthostatic hypertension. Orthostatic meaning standing up, hypotension, low blood pressure. When you're on a ketogenic diet, you're not going to hold any water. Matter of fact, you might be a little dehydrated, so it's important that you drink enough and you take in enough sodium in your diet. Okay? If you're a little dehydrated and you stand up too fast and the blood pools in your legs, there's not enough blood in your brain, you're going to get lightheaded. And that just comes with the territory. So don't get up too quickly. Make sure you drink enough, but also make sure you take enough sodium. I can't tell you how many guys who I know, and girls, who diet and eat no salt in their diet because they think that the water retention from the salt is the same as their body fat. I'm helping people now. They're like, should I stop having salt? I'm like, why? Why? Is not having salt going to make you lose body fat faster? No, it's just going to dehydrate you. And it's going to make you more sodium sensitive moving forward. So don't restrict salt until the last day.
So basically don't cut back on salt.
Why cut back?
Let's go to Ultimate Hockey or Hacky. What is this Chinese GH? And here's, let me answer that first, because the second one is juicy and you're probably going to want to answer this with some gusto.
Well, Chinese growth hormone is produced in China. The Chinese people knock everything off very cheap over there. What the quality control is, we don't know. Sometimes the stuff is good, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's underdosed, sometimes it's overdosed. A lot of times it's no dosed. Okay, so it's a crapshoot. Unfortunately, Bill Llewellyn, even though I've been pleading with him, has not created a growth hormone test yet. It's to test the authenticity of your GH. But I think at some point it will come out, and hopefully I'll have it on DavePalumbo.com, like I do the Roy tests, which will test all your anabolic steroids. So if any of you guys aren't sure if your anabolic steroids are real or not, you can go on DavePalumbo.com and pick up the Roy test, and you can test them and find out what you got. As far as quality of GH, it's impossible to tell. Even if you can prove that it's real, you'll never know how much is in there. That's why a lot of people feel that the Chinese is not dosed accurately.
Now here's the second part of his question, and feel free to go on with this one. When are you calling Louis Marco?
Sid reached out to Louis Marco. He refrained from coming on the show because he said, I don't, he's got an interesting accent and some interesting terms. I think he said he's on a cut right now or something like that.
So
or
he's on cut?
He's on cut now. That's what he said. I am on cut. And I can't come on yet. I don't know. Maybe he thinks he doesn't look good. What he doesn't understand is I could care less if he could wear a paper bag on his head. We just wanted to get him on for his opinions. And
we wanted to get him on Iron Debate. And so we actually reached out to him, seeing if he was interested. Jerry Ward is going to be on the show. We figured this would be one of those, really, really high-powered episodes. You bring, two personalities with big YouTube followers. But he responded saying that he's on cut, and right now he doesn't want to post any videos himself. So, all right. There is that. But let's go on to the rest of the questions. A few minutes of reminder.
If only Louis Marco had the ego of Jerry O'Neill, who doesn't give a crap what he looks like. He'll go on stage with
Kenny.
Did I say is the wrong name?
Jerry O'Neill.
Jerry O'Neill.
I think Jerry Ward and Jerry.
No, now you're confusing me. It's Kenny O'Neill.
Yeah, Kenny.
I'm
O'Neill.
right.
You said Jerry O'Neill.
No, you said Jerry O'Neill.
You just said Jerry.
I said Kenny O'Neill. Anyway, if Louis Marco had the ego of Kenny O'Neill, we'd be in good shape because he wouldn't care what he looked like when he came on.
Let's go to the next question. Good question here from Trevor Ouellette. Kevin Levrone recently said that he sleeps 12 hours a day by incorporating naps. Dorian Yates also stated the same thing. Dave, how many hours of sleep did you get when you were competing?
Man, if I can get 12 hours, if I could sleep 12 hours one day a week, oh, I'd feel so good. My son, he starts making goo goo gaga noises at like 6 in the morning. And granted, my wife is the one who usually gets up, but I hear him, so it's tough. Now, when I competed, I would sleep 8-9 hours a night, and I would try at my peak to take a nap for anywhere from 30 to 90 minutes. 90 minutes usually after big leg workouts or back workouts. And I really believe that my recovery was way, way improved from the naps.
Let's go to Super Beast 38. I don't know where he's getting this from, but he goes, Kai Green retiring. Have you heard anything about this?
You know, I hear Kai Green is mumbling about, what he's going to do after bodybuilding. He's not retiring, believe me. He loves the bodybuilding world. He'll continue to compete probably till he's 60. Him and Robbie Robinson, Robbie will be like 90 and Kai will be like 70, and they'll be posing down. I don't think, people love to talk about their retirement. People who really retire don't talk about it. Okay, the people that are not retiring or who are pretending to retire, those are the people who talk about retiring, and then they make 40 different comebacks. I can name at least 10 people I know who've retired more than one time and are still competing today. So take it with a grain of salt. I don't believe it. Okay, the real people who retire just stop competing. I never announced that I retired. I just stopped competing. Kevin Levrone never announced that he retired. He stopped competing. Who thought he'd ever come back? But he really, I don't think he had any intentions of coming back until very recently. So, the people who retire just say, all right, I'm done, and they move on to the next stage of life. The people who want to make a big deal and are trying to get hype about it, talk about it.
Good question here. One of your favorite terms from Iron_Mike. Hey, Dave, hate the show. Why is it so hard to attain striated glutes, or shredded glutes, for show day? Is it an athlete's lack of diet? Also, would you do specific exercises for glutes in the off-season to help bring them out when prep begins?
You can't bring out a muscle group from doing exercises. I have a couple of women I work with. They're like, I'm doing 4,000 lunges a day. Is that going to help my glutes? No, it's not. It's not. If you have muscle there and you lose the body fat, you'll see your glutes. If you have no muscle or very little muscle on your glutes and you lose the body fat, you're going to have loose skin there. So people who get really super lean who still don't have glutes, it's because their glute muscles are just not developed enough. People with good glute musculature who don't have striated glutes, it's just because they're not dieting hard enough. If you diet hard enough, you'll lose the fat on your butt and you'll get striated glutes. It's all diet related.
Well, we brought up the epic iron debate and I threw in the name of Badr Budai. Well, this question relevant to Badr by Code by the Pound. Hey Dave, hate the show more than you hate questions about DNP. Why are bodybuilders able to get so much bigger lifting at O2 Gym in Kuwait? Can the drugs there be so much better than here?
I never used the drugs over there. I don't know. The drugs must be good over there, but I think it's also because they're in a secluded, sequestered environment. All they can think about is training, eating, and sleeping. There's no distractions. I think that's a huge... I'll tell you a story. I went out to Venice, California for the first time in 1994, and I thought I was eating a lot before I went out there. And I was putting on good size. I probably weighed about 260 pounds, maybe 265. And when I got back from California, I was 15 pounds heavier. All I did was eat out there. I was so motivated by the environment. All these people did was train, eat every freaking 2 hours, and talk about bodybuilding. And I was immersed in that environment. I was eating. The food was great. It was all healthy. It was easy. Look, when you put yourself in the right environment and you take away the stresses of everyday life, you can focus more on your goals. And I think that's what the advantage is, especially for a guy like Victor Martinez. Get him out of his normal environment of going out and being distracted by women and stuff like that. Or even John De La Rosa. I mean, he doesn't have to work every day. His work is going to the gym and training and then going home and eating and sleeping. I'm sure these guys are taking naps and resting. That's the advantage.
So the last, I get not a question, but so our producer Johnny Styles tells us that people are chiming in. They want Dave's opinion on Big Romi's new leg post. So Johnny is going to roll footage right now. This is from Big Romi's latest Instagram post. And Dave, the fans want your analysis on what you see.
I'm looking at the guy to the right of him. It's kind of a weird looking dude, right? Who is that? I can't tell. It's kind of far away. Rami's got crazy legs, so I mean, his legs always look impressive to me. I will say one thing. Chris and I talk a lot about, Romi, and obviously Chris is working with him. He feels that Rami's going to be, very dangerous at under 200, at under 300 pounds. A lot of people, think that Rami's got to weigh 350 on stage, but Ronnie Coleman was the biggest Mr. Olympia of all time at 292. If Romi, who's probably the same height as Ronnie, was anywhere near that, that would be incredible. And I think that the fact that Rami's legs are coming in now is impressive. But to me, Instagram videos and photos on Facebook don't mean a hill of beans until you stand on stage next to Mr. Olympia Phil Heath. When I see Romi next to him, then I'll be able to tell you how Rami's going to do.
Big Romi last year, Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, 315, correct?
Who knows? I don't believe it. They don't weigh the open guys in, so you can say I'm 350, and no one's going to know the difference. So I think they should weigh everyone in, like the old days. This way we know exactly what everyone is weighing on stage, and no one can bullshit us. Lonnie Teeper always said, what did Lonnie say, Johnny? Everyone lies 10 pounds over or 20 pounds over? It's 10 pounds over. He said everyone has
footage from yesterday.
Yeah, if you look, Romi doesn't lift crazy heavy weights. He's a squeezer, and his body just is a hyper responder. And so, he doesn't even look that big in clothes. But I guarantee if he takes that shirt off, you'll blow your mind,
Well, that is going to do it for this episode of Ask Dave. In about a few minutes, we're going to be back here live on RxMuscle.com. Dave Palumbo and John Romano on an all-new episode of Iron Rage. For Dave and Johnny Styles, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you in a few minutes.